right, my renowned fam, welcome back to the Renowned Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Morris, and today I got a little something on my mind. I hear all the time from entrepreneurs that I talk to, no matter what phase they are in their entrepreneur journey. And I know it's dangerous to stereotype, but I'm going to do it anyway. Most entrepreneurs, for the most part, are entrepreneurs because they either want freedom, like just total freedom with their life, or they hate taking orders. And in my case, it's both. I need freedom. I have to have freedom. I can't have handcuffs. And I absolutely despise being ordered around. I did plenty of that in the Army. So the thing is, though, a lot of the aspiring entrepreneurs I talk to, they just don't know where to start. They don't know how to get into the game. They got all these ideas. Should I go into real estate? Should I go into a brick and mortar? Should I do online? Should I do Etsy or whatever that stuff is? There are literally millions of options. But today, my guests, Jen and Stacy Conkey, are here to talk to us about the real estate game. And they specialize in helping new investors learn the game and really help them understand what they're doing, the process, the contracts, all that stuff. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Jen and Stacy introduce yourselves. Jen, wave at the camera so everybody knows which one you are.
I'm Jen. I'm Jen.
All right, so go ahead, you got ladies, and introduce yourselves.
Right on. You want to go first? I'll go first. Okay. I'm Jen Conkey. So I've been in real estate investing. I started back in 2002 doing single family home flips all the way through plexes and then buy and holds for some passive income that is not really so passive. Doing that grind in real estate on the side while working in corporate America, climbing the corporate ladder and just trying to get, chasing that promotion and all of those bonuses and the big paycheck that never really came. So that's me in a nutshell. How about you, Stacy?
I started about 20 years ago, and similar to Jen, I just started with, fix and flips and single family rentals and then duplexes, and eventually moved into small apartment buildings. And now we've been to small and large apartment buildings.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 20 years in 10 seconds.
It's 10 seconds or less. 10 seconds.
I love it. So with my opening statement, I saw both of you smile. Which one are you? Are you the have to have freedom, or hate taking orders?
Yes. I think we smiled because we feel the same way you feel.
Yeah.
Freedom is the utmost importance for us. Love it. Not so good at taking orders.
No.
Definitely don't like to.
No.
Also spent 22 years doing that. So yeah, not a fan. I'd rather be collaborative and have a mission and a movement in the world and just move at my own pace.
Yeah, it's so much different whenever it's your baby, when it's your brainchild, whenever it's something you've worked, night and day to create. Then all of a sudden the world seems so much different, and it's really stressful, but at the same time, it's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
So that's my question. I guess my first question is to our listeners. Maybe they're thinking, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an investor. I think I could be good at real estate investing. What are some quick 5 check the boxes? Like if you have these qualities, or if you have this area of your life on lockdown, you might succeed in real estate investing. Because let's be honest, there's no guarantee with any venture you take. But what are the 5 things? Like if you met and you learned those 5 things, you'd be like, yeah, I think you could do it.
Well, I think the very first one is being able to manage time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but if you've got at least 10 to 15 hours a week that you will dedicate to this, and you're willing to sacrifice and not Netflix binge and not go out and do all the partying, and just realize that when you want something more, you're going to have to put out more effort and become a different person to get it. That's the first thing that you need. You absolutely need to make sure you have the time and that you're willing to make some small sacrifices for 3 to 5 years so that you can have more comfort for a lifetime. So that's the first piece. I think the second piece is knowing why you would even want to do it. That's probably the most important next step, is if you don't have a strong association to why you would want to get into multifamily, the chances are the first hurdle that you face, you're gonna throw in the towel and give up. Mostly because as humans, we really desire familiarity and safety. And our subconscious mind wants to keep us safe. Our reptilian brain is like, no, that's not safe. Do this instead. So fear will come up, and then we'll resort to whatever was familiar or comfortable instead of pushing through and developing and sharpening the skills that we need. So you got to ask yourself, why do I want to start this? Because it's going to get hard at times. And when it does, am I going to be the one that just perseveres through it and sharpens my skills? Or will I find myself sort of, let me go back to what's comfortable? Because if it's that, then don't even start. Don't even start. So get associated to your why. Those are my first two. I don't know. I'm sure you have more. What do you think?
It's funny because I don't think it's necessarily like a skills thing, because anybody can learn it. So really it comes down to personality. And I think that Jen hit on, I know you wanted 5, but I think it really just is the 2. Is having a strong association to why, because this is not an easy business. No business is easy. But is it worth it?
Yeah.
And what was the first one that you?
Time, being willing to make the sacrifices to build something, to take 3 to 5 years to build something that's going to last.
Yeah. I think the other thing, I feel like it's all personality types. If you don't mind taking the long road, like if it's about get rich quick, real estate investing is not, that's not the answer. It's the exact opposite of that. At least for multifamily, it's the long game. It's about building passive income like now, but for the long term. So everything we look at, it's not about what's happening today. It's like, well, what is the market going to be like in 5 and 10 years? So I think having a long range vision is going to be a better fit for at least for this kind of real estate investing. And definitely, are you the type to not give up? Because you really have to have that unlock when you enter this world, because there's no matter, and it's literally what we do. We specialize in training brand new multifamily investors to do it. And it's like, we give you like every single step, like every minutia step. And the reality is, even as detailed training, and ours is the most detailed that exists, even with that detailed training, we cannot predict the 17,000 other random little things that are going to come up on your one deal. And I wish somebody would have told me this when I was brand new. No matter what deal you're doing, there's going to be something that comes up that makes it look like it's going to kill the deal. Like, oh my gosh, it's this giant, fork in the road or big problem. And if you quit too easily, if you're just like, oh my gosh, I guess it's not meant to be, and give up, your career in real estate is going to be extremely short-lived, because every single deal does that in some way. And you have to get really resilient and creative and have this attitude, like, no matter what, I'm taking this across the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, you can give me whatever your challenge, I will figure out a way over, under, around, or through it. But no matter what, and it sometimes takes that level of commitment, even when you don't have a sure outcome, like you don't know.
Yeah.
But you have to just forget that and just like, no, that I don't care what it takes, and you figure out a way. That personality, even if somebody doesn't have it right away, you have to develop it to make it. Yeah. In this business, you can make a ton of money and build so much wealth. We have, but let me tell you what, we have had to use every part of our resilient personalities to work through challenges. And now we can get through absolutely anything.
Yeah. And I think we covered, I know you want 5. I mean, we've covered 3 really big ones. Time, your relationship with time is important. Your relationship with motivation, and then having the right expectation are basically those 3. And then I think another one would be, you got to be ready for people to call you a little crazy or a little weird. That's or a little bit like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So you got to be prepared for the naysayers in your life that, in all honesty, they're just trying to protect you. They actually think that they're protecting you from making the biggest mistake of your life, and you've got to kind of tune that out. But at the same time, acknowledge where they're coming from and show them that respect. Like, I appreciate you and I respect that you're trying to look out for me, but this is just something I need to do. And if you have that level of mindset, anytime someone's going to naysay you and you're just you don't really care, you're so certain in the fact that you want to do this, then you'll be okay. But if you let that kind of creep in, you're gonna have to do some mindset work, because people are gonna think you're a little nuts, especially if you're just picking this up on the side. Ask me how I know. So, you know, that level of support and the naysayers, letting that creep in might slow you down a little bit. So you'll probably have to do some work, unless you're just like, oh, I don't care, I'm doing this and I can handle all of that, then you'll be fine. But no matter what, you can still do it. You just got to have the right tenacity, thick skin, if you will, and know how to handle that.
Right. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And to be honest with you, I got to stop doing this. I do this to myself almost every episode. I'm like, give me 3, 5, 10, whatever. And then like they go through it and it's like, crap, I should have done it one at a time, because now I have to remember everything that you said. Now there's 2 of you. I normally don't do 2 people at the same time. So now I got to remember which one said what. So, but no, Jen, that is great advice. Mindset. I think it's funny. I tell people, my wife, my parents are the only 3 family members that supported me when I started my own company. Everyone else, my brothers, my sister, my aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone, friends, they're all like, okay, good luck. And I think it's funny, because all those people, I felt the weight of their judgment almost on me. And then I would get into circles of other entrepreneurs like you two, and they're like, yeah, bro, go do that. You can do that.
Exactly.
Think about this. This would be cool too. You should do this too. And it's completely different. And it's like you said, I think it's because they just don't understand. They don't understand that, and they're scared, because this is a scary life. And that is, for me, the biggest thing I had to face is the fear of like, if I make one mistake, my paychecks stop coming. Right. And it's that way with the 9 to 5 too. I don't understand why people can't realize that, you make a big mistake at work, you're going to lose your job. But I think the difference is that it's something you created. But anyway, but no, that's great advice. I absolutely love that. I love I talk about all the time, you just got to have that inspiration rather than motivation, right? Because motivation is your booster rocket that gets you into outer space. But that inspiration, like you said earlier, your why of why you're doing this, that's what allows you to run face first into a brick wall 9 million times until you find the door. Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. And it's funny because who said it? I think it was Hormozy said it. He's like, being an entrepreneur is like getting kicked in the balls over and over and over again. Then when you think you're going to catch a break, you get kicked in the balls again. And my analogy is pretty much the same way. You find the door, you start to walk through it, it gets slammed in your face. You got to go find a new door. So but that's the way it is. And you're absolutely right. That resilience, that tenacity, and that mindset are crucial. But the good news is, you don't have to possess those traits right now. Those traits can be learned over time. I think the trait you need to possess immediately, and tell me your thoughts on this, both of you. The trait you need to possess immediately is patience.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that goes into the expectation, right? If you have the expectation of doing it overnight, nothing happens overnight. Patience that's the game. That's the long-term game. So that's definitely.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure I asked Stacy because I do a pre-interview before we actually record, so I can get to know the guests and everything. And unfortunately, Jen wasn't able to make that. But I'm pretty sure I asked Stacy like, something along the lines like, "This isn't get rich quick type stuff, is it?" And she's like, no, we are as far away from the get rich quick as you can possibly get. And I mean, that's so crucial, because the patience, man, like every day. And that's my one saving grace as an entrepreneur is every day I wake up, I'm like, today's the day I make $1 billion. Today's the day Elon Musk learns who I am. And of course it doesn't happen. But then I wake up the next day and it's like, today's the day. And I'm just that way, but no, that's awesome. So um, when it comes to real estate investing, there are obviously hundreds probably of types. I don't really know. I'm assuming there's tons and tons of types of different types of real estate investing. You guys specialize in a very specific niche in that world. So can one of you go ahead and explain what that niche is and why it's different from the others?
Yeah, sure. So most people are familiar with, rental property, right? And most commonly like a single family home rental. And sometimes people just fall into it because they go to sell the house that they live in because they're moving into the next house and maybe it doesn't sell. They end up keeping it as a rental property. So I think the most people are familiar with that, like renting out a single family home, and hopefully your rent is higher than all of your expenses and your mortgage, and then there's some positive cash flow. The area of real estate that and Jen and I started with all the like the small stuff. That's how we started. But as time goes on, you want to have more rents coming in and have less risk. So we focus on multifamily, and what that means is there's small multifamily and then there's apartment buildings. Small multifamily is like 2 to 4 unit properties. So if someone understands a single family home as a rental, just, a duplex would just be like having almost like 2 single family homes, but under one roof. So now you have 2 rents coming in every month. So the challenge when people do start with a single family home, because in their mind, it's like, oh, that's easier and that's safer and I can do that. The problem is if your tenant moves out or doesn't pay rent, you are 100% covering all of the expenses yourself. So that can get pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly, unless you have a ton of reserves. So you go into multifamily and you have more units under one roof or more units at one property, that starts to spread out the risk. So if you have 8 units, let's say you have a small apartment building, 8 units, and one person moves out, it's a bummer, but you still have 7 rents coming in. So it's not like you're having to pay the mortgage out of your pocket. You still have enough money coming in to pay for the property expenses. You just have a little bit less cash flow that month. So in my opinion, when you start getting into multifamily, you start moving your risk out because you have more people providing income to your multifamily business. And I think that's different than how most people think of it. They think, oh, well, single family is easy and it's small and it's safe. Going into multifamily, well, that's big and that's scary and that's risky. And it's the exact opposite. It's less risky because you have so many more rents coming in. I think that's like the gist of it.
Okay. And I mean, so, I'm listening to you talk and I own a couple of properties, but that's besides the point. I don't know a lot about the real estate market. Like you said, I just kind of fell into it and, yay. Eventually, I do want to get into like actual big real estate investing just to, shore up a nice, safer end of my income, if you will. But I'm Joe Schmo. I'm 26 years old. I'm just starting out. I've been out of college a couple of years. Still working, trying to work through the job market stuff nonsense. And I don't have a whole lot of expendable income to start investing into large real estates. So what should I start doing to get myself in a position to where it's like, okay, now I have the savings, I guess, you could call it, to actually go take that leap?
I think I'm just going to myth bust that right now, because it really does not require that you have savings or capital. I mean, you need to have something because you got to put down an earnest money deposit and pay for inspections and stuff. But most people will keep putting off multifamily, even though they want it, they'll keep putting it off because they believe that they have to be the ones that come up with that down payment. And when you think multifamily and you start talking about, hundreds of thousands of dollars into millions of dollars in price, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to come up with $500,000 before I can get started. And it's just not true. Within our academy, a lot of the people, when they're doing their first, second, and third deal, sometimes in the first deal, they have enough capital to either do the deal themselves or to do part of the deal, and they bring on a JV partner. But usually by deal 2 or 3, they've already invested whatever capital they had available, and now they don't have capital again. So that's almost like someone who's starting their first time. So how do they continue to scale? They continue to scale by they have all the relationships that they've built with brokers. They have deal flow. They know how to analyze deals and make offers. And now, but the thing that they don't have is the capital, right? But there's other people who they have capital, but they don't have time, or they didn't find the deal and they really want a deal. And so what happens is those people come together and do a joint venture. And a joint venture can be even up to like 5 people. So it might be like one person coming in that doesn't have the capital, but is willing to bust their butt to get an education, call the brokers, analyze deals, like do all the work and partner up with 3 or 4 other people who are going to put the capital in. They all have a small role as well. And then you do the deal together. So it really is it's a misconception that you have to have a ton of money to get started in multifamily. If you have a lot of capital, that's fantastic. It's that much easier. You can put your money into your own deal, or you can put your money into other people's deal and get it working. But if you don't have capital, that's okay. You're just the one that's actually making stuff happen. And not that it's the better way to start, but in my opinion, it is the better way to start, because you get so you know so much more than anyone, because you're doing the entire process from start to finish. And although it's more comfortable to have capital when you start, I didn't have any capital when I started. And so I had no choice. But if I wanted to do this thing, it wasn't multifamily, it was just real estate investing. I had to find other people who wanted to do it too, but they weren't as motivated and inspired as I was to go do all the things. But I was totally willing. I just needed the money, and they just needed the me to put that together. So for the 26-year-old or the 35-year-old or the 50-year-old who wants to do multifamily or get started in multifamily, don't be limited by, do I have enough capital? You don't need the capital. There's other people who have capital.
You know, it's crazy. I wish that I would have, obviously for more reasons than one, I wish I would have known you sooner, because I actually had $10,000 when I first started, and my dumb self said, oh, I'm going to pay for the rehab with my money, and took my personal funds to rehab my very first flip. And that's why I ended up 7 months later only having a $1,500 profit 7 months later. And that was after scraping popcorn off the ceiling by myself and pounding the tile to break it up and shoveling 2 tons of tile into and take it to the dump. It was just the wrong way to do it. And sometimes I think what you're saying, and what I agree with emphatically, is that we get this belief in our head that we've got to have it this certain way, and that it's got to go this certain way. And then we start to envision that it's going to happen that way. And we don't realize that we're stepping over a quarter to pick up a dime, which is what I was doing. And I mean, I just really wish that I would have had somebody tell me that because I was 28 at the time. Hey, Jen, don't sit there thinking you got to have your own capital. Go raise it from other people while you do the work, because it's more scalable. I would have been like, bing, that makes so much sense. But I was 28. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know the difference. And now that I do, it's like, I wish I could go back, tell my younger self that I should not have paid for my own rehab. That was silly. You know?
Yeah, I love that, Jen. That's such a fun. I love that analogy, like stepping over a quarter to pick up a dime, because I am that person that picks up the penny in the Walmart parking lot and comes home. I am that person. And like that totally like nails me in the head. Like, why would I do that? I would pick up both. Like,
Right, right.
And it's like, so that's such a good point. So what do you think? So we got that one misconception out. What are some other pitfalls, mistakes, some very serious things, these young, old, none matters, someone getting into this game for the first time? What are some big things they need to watch out for?
I think that the first one is that there's a lot of really good marketing out there for syndication. And when people are first trying to get into multifamily, they go searching online for answers on how would I do this. And the first thing they're going to come across is syndicators that are out there teaching syndication. And all that is syndication is saying, we're going to go for these big apartments, these 150 plus unit apartments. And when you're doing a syndication, it's like trading a security. So you have to have a securities attorney, a private placement memorandum that can range between $8,000 to $30,000. Even when you finally get that, and let's just say you learned from the syndication guru how to do this, and you paid for the education and you're learning it, because I fell for the same marketing message. That's why I'm sharing this. I'm in the seminar and I'm learning that, oh, I can go make an $800,000 acquisition fee. This is awesome. Let's go. I'm going to give them my $40,000 and learn everything that I can from them. And then I did. When I went to go implement, it was a lot harder than it was meant to seem in that room, where there's no easy button where I just keep pushing this button and accredited investors come bring me all of their money. You got to learn how to go get that money. And it's easier, infinitely easier to skip the securities attorney, skip the PPM, skip syndication, start with joint venture instead on a smaller property, something that's like 5 to 10 units. It's not as sexy as 150 unit sounds, but I'm telling you, you'll actually get it done. So for me, the biggest lie out there is that you can just go straight into 150 unit. All you got to do is syndicate. All you got to do is go find other people's money, enroll in my program. I'll show you how. It doesn't work that easy. And it sounds very easy. It sounds very sexy. So don't fall for that trap. Think about, how can I actually, because by the way, once you do get through all of that and you get a deal under contract, when you go to close on it, the bank's going to say, I'm sorry, Dunsky, you don't have any experience. You're going to have to go find somebody that has experience. And guess who has the experience? The guru that's teaching you how to do it. And now they sponsor you, which means they get a cut of the deal. So it's just all backwards. So Stacy decided, I'm disrupting this. And I was like, let's do it, And you got to start with a joint venture. It's easier because it's a smaller purchase price. It's a smaller asset. If you get a 5 to 10 unit, now you know how to operate it because you're stair stepping into something bigger. You will get the experience. You do 2, 3, 4 of those. You go to a bank later when you're trying to do a 50 unit or 100 unit, they're going to go, oh, look at that, Stephen, you've already closed 4 of them. Good job. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and let's look at this. Let's go for it. And you don't need a sponsor and you get the whole deal. And that could take anywhere from 3 years, right? So if I'm willing to do that uncomfortable work for 3 to 5 years so that I can become my own sponsor, to me, the juice is worth the squeeze. So I would say just avoid any of those marketing messages where it's an easy button. You just get rich real quick, do syndication, get into a large, sexy building. Because what they're doing is they're appealing to somebody's ego and the need to be significant and have this large thing and status. And the truth is, it's not going to get to the closing table like you think it is.
I love that. And Stacy, I know you have something to share and I want to come back to you in a second. I just want to, I want to reiterate this because this is such an important point. When I started my company, the first thing I did is, like you said, I Googled it. How do I start a company? How do I start a consultancy? And I got all these, hey, do this and you'll be making $800,000 a month in 3 months. And it's like, it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem right what I did. And I think what everyone should do is, and tell me if you agree with this or not, is look for that person that goes, look, dude, if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to suck this up for 5 years, I'll teach you.
Exactly.
And it's going to cost you, but this isn't the easy button. This isn't the magic wand that's going to Harry Potter you, a bank account or a Harry Potter you some status, right? That there is no such thing. Yes, there are people that get extremely lucky that are in the right place at the right time. And, they make millions of dollars overnight. I don't want to be that person. Never have I wanted to be that person because I have a very strict philosophy. And that is, there's a reason lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years because they don't know how to manage the money that they win. They didn't build it. So if my company goes from making what I make now to making $20 million a month tomorrow, I'm going to lose it because I don't know how to manage that much money. I got to build my way up to that 20 million. Will I make that much money? Absolutely, I will. But I got to do it slowly so I can, like you said, Jen, is I learned the process along the way. And I want all the listeners to beat that into your brains. Go home if you're driving, or if you're at home, go look at yourself in the mirror and say, I got to do it slow and I got to learn. Stacy, what are your thoughts on that?
It's funny when you say that sometimes we see people that are an overnight success. And they're lucky they're in the right place at the right time. And when it comes to business, I don't think that exists. Other than like the lottery winner, but in business, what you see, the overnight success you see, what you didn't see was the 4 years that were put in blood, sweat, tears, late nights, big stress, taking risks, feeling uncertain about yourself, having the naysayers, like all of that. And so sometimes it appears that someone becomes an overnight success, and it's just not the truth. So anytime you're looking at that and being like, oh man, yeah, I can get it that quick, you can get it. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. But if you align your expectation to it is going to be that quick, then you are going to quit very quickly, because it's just not, but it's worth it. It doesn't take that much time. And it's, gosh, isn't it worth it? Aren't you worth taking the time to build something with a solid foundation? Because the other challenge with building something too quickly and taking shortcuts is, what is your business built on then? It's built on a house of cards, or it's built on sand, instead of just building a really solid foundation. And we use the example with multifamily of, start with an 8 unit or a 10 unit. That's one, layer. And you get all of this knowledge just from that little building, and all this experience and confidence and credibility. And then cool, do a 20 unit, and that lays the next foundation. And then do a 40 unit, lays the next foundation. And then you're fine to keep going bigger, because you have such a rock solid foundation of knowledge, experience, credibility, and the ability to navigate through challenges. And when you get into bigger and bigger stuff, like, you need to have built that up, and that resiliency that comes from those first several deals.
It develops you into the person that you need to be in order to manage and have all of it. Without that stair-step journey, you don't learn the lessons to keep it. So I agree with you 100%.
Right. And so I think the other key thing that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. The other key thing is for people starting out in your line of work and building that business, you got to become an expert networker. And I feel like that is probably just as scary, maybe scarier for a lot of people than the money aspect. Is, you want me to go talk to this person and ask them for money? What the F? No. But yes, that is okay. And see, the thing is, and for me, when it came to selling, it was so hard for me to ask for that big price tag I asked for. And finally, one of my coaches was like, dude, do you not think you're worth what you charge? I'm like, well, yeah, of course I do. I'm like, well, then why do you have such a mindset of poverty that it is stopping you to ask someone like, I am worth this, invest in me, right? And so that is a scary, scary thing, and it's very hard to get over. What was your journey, Jen, of learning? I feel like you're naturally kind of a networky person. Like you seem like maybe you're the life of the party, even when you're sober.
I'm always sober. Yeah. Well, now I'm always sober. I wasn't always sober.
So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it really just comes down to, that is one of the biggest fears, is it's money. And as a society, our relationship with money, it comes from our parents and what we were wired about, our belief about money. So you got to ask yourself, it's not really about going and asking somebody for a handout. It's having the mentality, instead of being a consumer where I spend and I get a product, it's a return on your investment. Like, spend with an ROI and receive with an ROI. And if you change your thought process to that, it's like, I'm not going to shell out money unless I'm getting a return. And sometimes I don't. Like, I'm going to buy food, I'm going to buy groceries, I'm going to buy gas. And that's not, obviously, it's not an asset that's paying me, but those are expenses that you must do. But when it comes to an investment, whether it's investing in coaching or investing in real estate, you have to fundamentally change the way you look at money and your relationship to it. So it's just energy. And what you put out and what you receive, it's an exchange of energy. So if I were to give you and say, Stephen, I want you to coach me on stuff, here's $50,000. This is what I expect to see from that. If I get even a 4X on that return, I'm happy, right? That I'm going to give you 50, I'm going to get back 200. Awesome. What if I got 10X on it? So that's what we have to look at in terms of an apartment investing. When we go to an investor and we tell them, hey, for every $100,000 that you invest in this building, this is the return on your investment at the end of this 5-year period or the end of this 7-year period. And when you're speaking in those terms in the ROI world, and people who are out there with money that have a high net worth, that's how they live their life. That's the language that they use, is what am I going to get on a return on my investment? So it's just a matter of shifting that, because a lot of our students, when they come in, they have the same fear and they're afraid, well, I don't want to go ask for money. And I'm like, hey, bud, we got to change that language. You're not asking for money. You're actually providing an investment opportunity with a return on their investment. You are changing lives. You are giving them a service because of your skill set that you are developing. And that's really the game changer, is I'm going to change that relationship and think about, I'm spending for an ROI, I'm receiving with an ROI. It's the same thing like when you get a compliment and you don't know how to take a compliment, and it's just like, oh no, and you kind of like, it's all these things, you rationalize the compliment away. That means you're not receiving with an ROI. You got to, it's both ways. And you just energetically, it's not just with money, it's with everything. But in this case with money, ROI is the name of the game. And when you change your language, it's going to change the way that you show up, and people are going to want to invest with you because you speak their language. Oh, return on investment. That's what I live my life on. It's just a simple shift. It's not as scary as most people think.
I love that so much. Go ahead, Stacy.
I was just going to say, it's one thing that people don't necessarily think of until you're in this position, is, you know, when you're the one that has the deal and you're in your mind, because it legitimately does feel like, shoot, I need the money. And you have to like get out of that in order to have like the appropriate conversations. But the thing that's interesting is there's a whole segment of society that is stressed out on the other end. They're stressed out because they have money sitting in the bank. It's not at work, and it is literally dwindling away with
Inflation.
And it's stressful. And up until, gosh, I think it was in 2021. So we had, launched our academy. So we're very, very busy. And it was 2021. We had just moved cross country. We had been, putting money away, preparing to do another apartment deal. And we had a couple $100,000 like that we were like getting ready. But when we had enough capital to do it, we did not have the time. And because we had launched the academy, moved cross country, had 4 kids trying to get them settled, it was starting to become this massively stressful situation where we had this money that was intended to go be at work, and it wasn't. It was just sitting there. But we didn't have the time to go put it to work, even though we know how. We just didn't have enough hours in the day based on everything happening. And that was the first time that I had started to understand the other side. Because anytime we had capital, we would just put it to work ourselves. But that was the first time we had capital and couldn't put it to work. And other people, they can't put it to work because they don't know how, or they don't have time. And so that was a really big gift. So we ended up investing in a couple of other people's deals. And we were like, okay, we felt so much better because now we got to put that money to work. So it's stressful to be on the other side and have money that's just sitting there. And if you, who is in the need of the capital, can start to recognize that that is an absolute reality, you can start to shift your perspective, like Jen was saying, from, oh, I need money, to I'm providing an opportunity. Because I definitely, those couple of operators who happened to come through our life at that time, I was like, thank God that you guys were here, because having money doing nothing and sitting in the bank is not good.
Yeah.
And when you just don't have the time or the knowledge to put it to work, so you really are doing people a service by being the one who's coming in and raising that capital. And we just finished up a $2.2 million raise just a few days ago. And the last couple of, $2.2 million raised, we're not putting our own $2.2 million into it. We put some money into it, but that all came from a whole bunch of other investors that we built relationships with. Well, the ones that ended up coming in the last couple, one of our investors, this is the 3rd deal that they're doing with us. And every time they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know about this, because they had sold the business. They had a bunch of capital and they're stressed because they didn't have a place to put it to get a return. And so anyway, they came into this deal. And then the thing, I didn't even tell you this yet. The thing that was really cute was, her name was June. June has 2 kids, and one of her kids has a spouse, and they all have money that they've saved up, but they don't know how to do real estate investing, but they know that real estate investing is very good. and they want to. So June was like, can my kid, her kids are like, you know, in their 30s, I think, but can my kids get into this? And when I was like, oh yeah, here's how we do it, she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. They're so excited. So if I looked at this like I need money and I didn't just go and say, hey, it's not like I wasn't asking for money. I just said, hey, we're doing this deal. Are you interested in taking a look at it? It's a really different energy.
I thought you were going to talk about Clint when you said that. So it
Oh,
threw me when you said it was June.
oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was June. But that's so if almost everybody that comes into our academy, we have to have this, there's a mindset shift that has to happen. I think everybody feels that way as the natural first place.
I had a grown man who was afraid to go raise $50,000.
Yeah.
And now the dude's at 4.5 million because he just changed that belief in his head that, oh, I can do this. I am providing a service.
And he's passionate now
now
about
he is-
helping people
Yeah,
in that way.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me is I had to realize one, if you chase the sale, you're never going to catch it, right? You have to go from, I'm trying to change someone's life. I'm trying to provide this service, right? And then the money comes second. Love that. That's definitely a mindset shift that I had to go through. The other big thing was understanding, like, I'm not offending people when I say, yeah, so I can do this. It's going to be $3,000 a month. And they're not, there are two reactions. One, oh, I can't afford that. Or two, okay, right? No one's offended.
Right,
I'm not
right.
hurting feelings.
Right.
Right. Like that blew my mind. And I don't know why, because you, Stacy and Jen, can come up to me on the street and say, hey, we ran out of gas. Can we have $20? And if I have it, it's yours. That doesn't offend me. I don't know why on God's green earth I thought I was offending people by asking them for money. Like, but you're right. I had to do that mindset work. And once I got my mindset right when it comes to money, that's when things started to change.
Absolutely.
It's probably something from your childhood that you don't even remember. It's like all that, like things happen and it forms our view of the world. It's
1,000%.
unconscious, but it drives everything that we do. And that's why sometimes you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why is this in me? It's like something that happened when you were a kid and you haven't identified it yet. So it's just a mystery, but
Yeah.
So Stacy, Jen said that, and I'm kind of putting words in her mouth, but I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said that you pretty much went to her and said, I want to disrupt this system. And what, so I love that, because that's pretty much why Renowned exists, is because I saw a flaw in the system and I'm like, I'm going to change this. So I love that heart that you got there. What made you just so fed up and just be like, I've got to do something to fix this problem?
Oh my God, this is my favorite story. This is why we have our academy.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for this.
it's actually, it's two pieces. It started with when I was new. I never want to do something without knowing what I'm doing. The more like the fire ready aim, I don't have the personality for it. I'm too conservative. And so I went and I invested $40,000 to learn how to invest in multifamily, learn how to invest in real estate. So into a training program, and frankly, it was just complete crap. To be very frank, it was crap. They made it sound very good, but when it came down to actually teaching, everything was very high level. So when you go to implement something where you're only hearing that high level, you don't actually know how to do it, but you don't realize you don't know how to do it until you're trying to do it. So the beginning of my journey was very rocky and very bumpy, because even though I invested $40,000, I did not know what I was doing. And that just ticked me off. And I was like, you know what? That is not right. It is not right that I made this huge investment, and so did everybody else in the program, and none of us actually know what the heck we're doing. This is terrible. And I'm sure most of them probably quit. So in my first year, I was like, you know what? If I ever figure this thing out, and I had been in maybe 7 or 8 deals at this point, and I was just, every one was like, I was like, if I ever figure this out, I am going to go back and I'm going to teach other people how to do this. And I'm going to teach them all of the steps, all the things that I've had to figure out on my own, because they just shouldn't have to go through this. So that was the beginning of all of it. That's what created like the deep passion for, I want to be able to teach others and share it. And then as we have been around and seeing the other multifamily educators that are in our space, what Jen was talking about earlier was syndication. It's a sales tactic and a marketing tactic, and I don't like either of those things. But when someone has the question, like you asked, like, what if somebody doesn't have the money? How do they get started? And they give the answer of, don't worry about it, you're just going to syndicate to raise the capital. People put their $40,000 down thinking, oh, cool, I don't have to worry about it. And the reality is that's not a way for new real estate investors to start. It's just not. It's almost impossible to take a deal across the finish line when you've never done any kind of multifamily investing. And on top of it, now you're putting syndication, which is super complex. And so when Jen and I started this, I was like, you know what, I want to, and we're going to probably have a target on our back. So we got to be prepared for that. But I want to disrupt the multifamily education space. I want people to know that it's an absolute lie that that's how they should start. Yet that's what everybody teaches. And that's why they have no results. Whereas I'm like, you know what, we have to teach people how to do it in a way that's going to get them results. It's our first and foremost value in our coaching organization. Like, what do we need to do to make sure that our students get results? And then we backwards built the organization from there. And it really comes down to, yeah, we're not going to promise you a $500,000 acquisition fee. That's absurd. That is absurd. You have to earn that by stair stepping. So we just come in and we're like, look, this is what it is. You're going to work for this amount of time. This is how you're going to do it. You are going to reap those huge rewards, but you're going to build a foundation that is unshakable and unbreakable. But that's where it came from, because I just feel like people are just lied to and they are stolen from. And they still don't have a building after spending all of that money.
And so now, as of the time of this recording, we are the only multifamily training company that actually teaches folks how to get into their first apartment, like all the way through, including managing it after they close. Most of our competitors only teach them how to get an accepted LOI, which isn't a letter of intent, or get it under contract. And then what?
Yeah,
and then what?
Geez.
So that we needed to disrupt. So we teach the A to Z. We teach it all the way through, even how to manage this.
Going from the LOI to what I guess you would call the finish line, there's still months and months and months of steps beyond that point, correct?
Yeah, once you get an accepted LOI, you still got to do due diligence. You got to figure out the right financing. You got to actually get it into closing. And once you close it, then you got to know how to manage that asset. There's at least 3 more steps.
Big steps.
Huge steps.
Yeah, I think managing's probably a pretty solid step, because I mean, I wouldn't know the first freaking thing about managing a multi-unit apartment building. Like, how do you, I don't know. And so I love that. I love the disrupt theme. Actually at the time of this recording, yeah, we just finished our first annual virtual summit on leadership, mindset, business growth, and career growth. 5-day summit, and we actually called it Disrupted. Right?
Oh, that's awesome! I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's absolutely right, because we got to disrupt this get rich quick mindset of, hey, just give me 40 grand and I'll teach you how to do this. And I had a real good friend in a mastermind I'm in. It's a men's group mastermind. And he's like, hey, I want to do what you do. And he's like, I've talked to these companies to hire them to teach me to do what you do. And I was like, okay, so here's the thing. Here's what you got to understand. They're going to promise you all this stuff, right? They're going to promise you a TEDx talk, right? But all they're going to do is give you a checklist and then leave you to interpret said checklist and figure out for yourself how to get that done. It's not comprehensive. They are with you every step of the way, hand holding you through the process. He's like, I know, but I can't afford that. I was like, dude, you're wasting your money, right? Because everything that they're going to do for you, you can do on YouTube and Google, right? Don't waste your
Right.
money. Just get started, and I will kind of help you along the way, and we'll save your money. You can save up the money, and then you can hire me, and I will handhold you through getting you on the TEDx stage. I will handhold you through getting your first 5-10 speaker deals, right? Because that is what I do. I don't sell the, like, we're going to do this and you're going to be 10x. I can't, no, that's stupid. I get those emails every single day. Steven, do you want to 10x your client acquisition? No, shut up. Steven, do you want to 10x your revenue over the next 3 months? No, shut up. Like, leave me alone. Stop emailing me all this crap. I'm sure y'all get the same emails I do.
Every day, 5 of
Every
them.
day. LinkedIn, I don't even look at my LinkedIn messages anymore. They're all crap.
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
you know, you got to be smart, you got to be diligent, and you got to just go do your research and find the people that are willing to teach you to do things the hard way, not just the easy button way.
Yep.
That was a long rant. How are y'all doing?
It was a well worth it rant.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So we're running up on time, but one thing I do want to point out is the value. And you kind of alluded to it earlier, Jen, when you said, I wish I would have met you sooner, talking to
Right.
Stacy. What for the two of you, what's the value of having a partner on the same page? And I'm not just talking like spouse or romantic partner, like just a partner in general to help you through this process, help you bear the burden, bear the mindset, bear the running into the brick wall time and time again. What is the value of having that partner in your life?
It's absolutely priceless. I think that especially when you have that partner that's the opposite of you and you have the opposite skill sets, like I'm the visionary and Stacy is hands down the implementer, so good at it. We're both very good at what we do. And without the other, I would be implementing, which would be a disaster, right? It'd be like a monkey trying to hump a football.
Oh my God.
It's just going to slip away. It's not going to work. Right? I'm sorry. You might have to edit that out.
No, it's good. It's good.
I'm just being real. I just, if you're not good at something and you're trying so hard to do it, to me, I'm not very good at the details. I'd rather not. I'd rather have a boil on my eyeball and just not go. But I'd like to think of the things that we need to do and strategically map that out and figure out what do we need to do to get there, plan it in 100-day increments, and then look at Stacy and say, how do we do that then? You know, like how? You're the how. And then usually she'll be like, okay, I'll go find the who to do the how. And she hires all the peoples that does all the things, and magic happens. It's I don't know. I don't even know how Q-tips get in the drawer of my bathroom because she handles it. But that's the thing. A valuable partner is priceless. So when you know your role, if you know you're the visionary, you need to go find an implementer. If you know that you're really good at implementing things and you're good at the keystroke level of doing all the way down to the minutia, then you need a visionary that's going to help you with the direction. It's like you need both. And as soon as you find that perfect fit, you feel completely unstoppable, absolutely supported, aligned, and just going for it. And anything is possible when you have the right partner.
What about you, Stacy?
You know, it's interesting because you're asking about partners specifically. And oftentimes when people are starting, they don't have that. Even if they're married, it's not very often that we meet people where both spouses are totally into it the way that we are. So it's a little bit rare. So I think the bigger picture is not so much about initially about a person as a partner, because most people will not have that. It's the thing that when we started the academy, part of Jen's mission, we had completely separate like drives. We wanted to do the same thing, but for really different reasons.
Yeah.
Jen wanted to create a community because when she was doing it for that first 12 years as a side hustle, when she was, working in leadership in corporate America, things would come up, problems would happen, and she felt like very alone. And most people feel very alone as entrepreneurs, as real estate investors. It's a lonely world. And so when we launched the academy, one of the things that she really wanted was to create this incredible community that would be everyone's trying to do the same thing, and we're encouraging and supporting. And one of the things that ended up coming out of that, and that just didn't occur to me, but when I saw it, I was like, this is the most incredible thing ever, because you have people who are aligned in their values and their vision and what they want, and everybody is lifting everybody else up, because chances are at home they got everyone trying to pull them down. So it's like, to get around other people, like you said, like other entrepreneurs who are doing what you want to do and lifting each other up is priceless. And then out of that community, at least what we've seen since building this community, is out of that community comes those partnerships. Like, you find your person or your people, like Liz and Rachel.
Yeah.
They ended up, they do all their deals together. They are like peas and carrots, man. They are so good.
They're
And
just
then
like Jenny and Forrest.
they are. And then there's like, Andy, Brad, and Janice. They are like, they're just this trio.
They're like the hungry man dinner plate.
Yeah, totally. And it's so great. So, oftentimes people don't start with their ideal partner. I mean, I did not have, any kind of ideal partner or partner at all until I met Jen. And it's hard. And then when you find that, it's like, oh my gosh, you can move so much faster when you find each other. So I think the bigger part is really when people are getting started, if you don't have that kind of partner, because most people don't, is find a community of people that are like you. Find your set of weirdos. Like we call our academy. We're like, we all got the same. We're all the same kind of weird.
Yeah.
We want more in life. We're crazy. We're willing to work our asses for it and work our asses off for it and go for what most people will never even try for. We all have the same kind of weird. And as a result, it doesn't feel like it's a real estate community. It feels like a family.
Yeah.
People say it's a cult. Fine, whatever. It's a real estate cult. But it's because there's just these deep connections that are formed because we're all striving for something together to become more. And even though, Jen and our students in our academy, no matter what we are doing, we are always striving for what's next. And we're the leaders, and, and everyone else is, 20 years behind us, but they are striving for more. And it makes us keep reaching for more and more, because we have to make sure we can always lead them, no matter how far they get, that we can always lead them to what's next. And that community thing is just, I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen.
It's so funny
It's
because
amazing.
people will come to us and they're like, we see your community. It's magical here. Like, what's your target avatar? How do you find these folks? And I'm like, what? I never thought of a target avatar. We literally just lead with our values and attract the people with the same values, man. I don't market to any particular avatar. I don't even know what my avatar is or what that means. I just lead with what we want to do, what our mission is, and then the people come to us, and there are people, they vibe with us. So it's special. It's special to definitely, and you're right. Everybody in that community does find their perfect person, if you will, their perfect partner. And that
I love that. And like you, Jen, when I started, I spent a massive amount of money. I spent around 40 grand as well. But part of that 40 grand was finding that community like yours, but doing what I want to do.
Right.
And that I would not, like, even though I'm not a part of that community anymore, because I kind of outgrew where they're at, I don't regret spending a dime, because that community was paramount into getting me to where I'm at today. All right. So it has been an absolute pleasure, Jen and Stacy. Thank you so much for coming on here. It's been so much fun talking to the both of you. And I learned so much. I really do appreciate it. So before we bounce though, go ahead, one of you, and please tell our audience how they can find you, how they can get your website, get a hold of you, and maybe check out your programs, what you got going on, and maybe get into your community.
Absolutely. So the best place to find us is go to warriorsofwealth.com. So warriorsofwealth.com is our website where we have a curated list of how to basically do our blueprint. So it starts off with apartment acquisitions. There's about 7 or 8 videos in there. It's really good information. And if at any point in time you're watching the video and you're like, okay, I just need to know about the academy, you can click on one of the little red buttons to book a call, and a member of our team will be happy to jump on the phone and just talk to you about what your goals are, what you want, and walk you through exactly what we do inside the academy.
Yeah, see, and I love that. I want to point out to you what they've done. They're giving you free cookies, right? They're giving you all the free cookies you want. But if you want the glass of milk, you gotta go talk to them. But the key here is this isn't a marketing gimmick. The key is like they're giving you the information that they're going to give you in a much bigger sense when you're in the academy. This is how you find those diamond in a rough training companies that aren't just going to take your money and then leave you with questions like Jen was talking about earlier at the end of the road. And you're like, I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. That's how you find those companies, because they're going to have plenty of stuff and like, here, just take my knowledge. And if you still want to work with me because whatever, you want to grow bigger, faster, whatever the case may be, here's my number. That's how you find those perfect companies that you want to work with, not those get rich quick companies. Love it. Thank you so much. So this is going to be a two-parter here, because I'm going to make both of you answer. At the end of my podcast, I always ask my guests to share their final word of wisdom, which the question is, what's your best piece of advice for someone to lead like a champion? However, I've changed the question. The question now is, what does leading like a champion mean to you? We'll go with Jen first. What does leading like a champion mean to you, Jen?
Leading like a champion to me means that you're going to get yourself into a peak state of performance and know how to stay there so that you can perform. Leading is just, you have to manage yourself first in order to lead others. So for me, I feel like you've got to really be clear on where you're going, where the team is going, say the what, let them figure out the how, but you got to show up and believe with so much certainty that there's always a way to accomplish the goal, accomplish the mission. And with a team, you can get it done. That's for me. Yeah.
Love it. Stacy?
Leading like a champion. I think that when you're getting started in something and you are not completely certain of yourself yet, you want it and other people have done it, so you believe you can do it, but you're not 100% certain. I'd say leading like a champion is showing up with that level of certainty, regardless of how you feel on the inside, because people are going to follow your confidence, even though it's fake confidence on the outside. They're going to believe that you can do it, and they're going to stop trying to tell you that you can't. You have to be leading like a champion is you are absolutely 100% certain out here, and let people see that, and don't let them break your stride. Every entrepreneur goes through it, and the only way you fail is if you quit. Literally, that's the only thing you could possibly do to fail. Otherwise, you're just learning and growing, and your life is going to be incredible as a result.
I love it. I love it. And what I love is the two of you just echo everything I say on a daily basis. So it's like, it's proof, right? Like, yeah, we hear it from Steven all the time. Well, now you heard it from someone else, two other experts. So see, I'm not lying. Thank you so much, Jen and Stacy. It has been an absolute honor to have both of you on here. Of course, everybody, make sure you scroll down in the show notes or the description. Their links are going to be down there to their socials, their website, everything you need. Make sure you go give these two ladies tons and tons and tons of love. I only bring you legit people, and these two are 100% legit. I vouch. Go check them out. Once you're done doing that, head over to renownedleadership.com. Come check me out. Give me tons and tons of love. You want to come talk to me? Just click book a call. It's absolutely free. You get to come talk to me, and we'll pal out for an hour or two and see what's going on in your life and see how I can help you. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steven.
Thank you for having us.
All right, everybody. So I will see you all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. And in the meantime, never forget, lead like a champion. Bye, everybody.